Kyle Jones, what is your advice to others who might be tempted to call the bluff of an asshole in a Mercedes with no plates?
It is never worth it to argue with a driver. It sounds trite, but you just don't know who you're dealing with.
We're rolling. We're rolling.
Calling out tap people. This is a real thing. Real thing.
None of you have the balls to stop this. Stop this.
I've got plenty of time. I have nothing else going on today.
We're in the Wedge neighborhood right now.
Welcome back to the Wedge Life Podcast. I'm your host, John Edwards. Today is a special episode. It's part of a series featuring harrowing personal stories. Today's guest got pepper sprayed in downtown Minneapolis trying to report an Amazon delivery truck driver to 311. And I'm just going to get right into it. Kyle Jones, can you walk me through the circumstances that led to you getting pepper sprayed?
Yeah, so I want to preface this by saying that I don't usually consider myself to be like an angry cyclist, like yelling at drivers a bunch. I used to be, but I've matured. I've grown out of that. But for whatever reason, on this day, it was a couple weeks ago, it's just before Christmas, there was, like you mentioned, an Amazon truck parked on Nicollet and Grant in such a way that it was blocking both the bike lane and the bus stop. And for whatever reason, that was too much for me. So I decided to stop, and I was very polite. Like, I tapped on the window and said, hey, just so you know, I'm just letting you know you can't park here. You're blocking the bike lane. You're blocking the bus stop. And he gives me all kinds of attitude. He's like, oh, well, I don't care. Whatever, buzz off. And I was like, okay, like, have it your way. Fine. I'm just going to take some pictures and, report you to 311. And it was at that point that a different car pulls up. It was like a brand new BMW SUV. It was like an X5 or something. And they started honking at me, and the driver's rolling down the window and yelling at me. And I was like, he says, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm reporting this guy because he's, blocking the bike lane. For whatever reason, that set him off. Like, he felt some kind of solidarity with the Amazon driver. And I kind of get it. It's like, this privileged cyclist here. Right.
You're engaging in the war on cars, and his comrade, the delivery driver, you're pestering him. It's become a 2-on-1.
Exactly. Yeah. It's some kind of like, like I'm picking on this poor worker here. I'm the Karen in this situation, I guess some people would say. So I kind of get it, but he's yelling at me, and then he starts threatening me, saying like, I'm going to run you over. I'm going to kick your ass. And, again, there should have been a moment where I should have said, whatever, I've got my pictures. I'm on my way. But for whatever reason, the way this guy talked, if he was driving a new BMW, I don't know, whatever it was, I thought, this guy's all bark and no bite. He doesn't want to actually fight me. Right. I'm gonna call his bluff, And I said, okay, fine, like, step out of the car, let's fight, let's see what happens. And at first he looks at me real confused, and then reaches down into the door pocket of his car and pulls out a huge can of mace, like not like a little spray thing, like a big can of mace with like a pistol grip on it, and just blasts me right in the face. And I looked right at it and just got me right in the face.
At that moment, you must have been like, what is he reaching for? Have I made a real bad mistake?
I definitely did, yeah, which is like, I looked right at it because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't a gun. But of course, looking at the pepper spray as it hits you in the eye is not great. But yeah, when I realized that it was just pepper spray, there was a little bit of a relief. I was like, okay, I'm not getting shot today. I'm just going to be taught a very valuable lesson.
First responder Kyle Jones gets to go home today, is what you're thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Like, at the moment it hit me, I was like, this is really going to suck. But if this guy doesn't actually get out of his car and beat me up, this is going to be a great story. I'm going to tell everybody I know. But, as soon as it hit me, I was immediately just like hands in the air. I was like, all right, you win. Like, I'm not combative anymore. Like, it absolutely did its job.
And so did he immediately drive off?
He stayed for a little bit. I think him, and I think also the driver, the Amazon driver, shouted at me a little bit.
While you're sprayed, the Amazon driver is shouting at you? Just salt in the wounds from Amazon.com here.
I think so. It was hard to tell because at that point I couldn't really see. Like, I could see well enough to grab my bike and get over to the curb, but I just heard because there were two guys in the BMW and one Amazon driver, and there were a variety of voices yelling at me, calling me names and things. Oh wow! But I made it over to the curb, and for a moment I thought, I can probably make it home. Like, I don't live far from that spot. I can probably stumble my way home and start washing this stuff off. But I thought, I don't know, like, what if I start hyperventilating or something on the way home? I have some negative reaction. Maybe the first responders will have some magical cure for this, because I've never been pepper sprayed before. So it's all a new, novel experience. So I did call 911 and basically just sat on the curb, rubbing snow in my face, trying to make the pain go away.
Kyle Jones on Christmas got pepper sprayed and is rubbing snow in his wounds. There was a moment where I was sitting on the curb, like, people were like walking by and no one even stopped to be like, "Oh, are you okay?" It was very much like, "Oh, this is kind of a sad moment in my life." This is a sad Hallmark Christmas movie. Maybe it ends with you turning into a sexy snowman and like doing chores for a lonely woman. I don't know. Is that how this ended?
It's possible. No, unfortunately not in this case. I was actually on the way to Target to pick up something for a Christmas party. I forget. It was like, I'm going to get some cookies or something. And I texted my boyfriend afterwards. I was like, I didn't make it to Target.
So was the party canceled? Did you not go?
No, it was the next day, or I think,
Okay.
it was the next day. So I had time to recover beforehand, but we had to stop on the way there and get our cookies or whatever it was.
So when the first responders showed up, who showed up to help you and what happened?
Yeah, so I called 911, and for context, I used to be a 911 dispatcher, so I kind of know how this is all going to go. I give them my location, gave them a description of the two vehicles, the guys in the cars. No license plates on either vehicle, by the way, which is weird.
That's Minneapolis for you.
Yeah, no enforcement, of course. So they, get the dispatcher transfers me to the ambulance, and they basically ask me if I'm still in danger, and I say no, and they hang up, which is protocol. That's how they're supposed to do it. And then not too long after that, the first responders show up, and they showed up in like a 60-foot, like, big articulated ladder truck for my little, pepper spray. And I was like, it's a little bit overkill. Maybe it's just what was available, whatever. But yeah, there's 4 first responders step out, and, I want to say, like, utmost respect for first responders. I think they're awesome. But in this particular case, they were not helpful at all. They just stood there and looked at me like, "Wow, that looks like it really sucks, huh?" Like, "Do you have any water you can, I can rinse my face?" And they're like, "No, we don't carry any water."
The Minneapolis Fire does not carry water. Don't expect them to show up to a fire with water. That's not part of the job.
Exactly. I was like, you're firefighters. What are you fighting fires with if not water? I don't know if it was like a protocol thing, or, maybe for a moment they thought like I was harassing some poor old lady and got pepper sprayed, and they're like, "We're not going to help this jerk."
Right. Maybe you're the perp.
It's possible. Yeah. Really, it's his word against mine, because the first responders also told the police not to show up, which, again, I kind of get. Like, it's just my word versus his. What are they going to actually do about it?
Did you file a police report?
No, I never got a call back or anything, which I was a little surprised by, because it's a whole different story, but I was hit by a car last year, and the police also didn't show up, but they at least called afterwards to get like a follow-up and, and get a report written. In this case, there was nothing. I think, as the first responders said, like, it's just a typical pepper spray incident.
An ambulance eventually did show up after the firefighters, and were they able to help you?
They were. Yeah, they were much more helpful. They had these like wet wipes that are specifically designed for pepper spray, I guess. They put like some cool air on my face. And it was at that point that I kind of realized, like, they told me how much spray was on me, because I hadn't really paid much attention. But I started looking around, and it's all over my coat and my hat. Like, the seat in the ambulance where I was sitting was all covered with it. And I was like, they were like, they got you really, really good with that stuff. But they were pretty helpful. And I don't know, maybe 30 minutes, sitting in there, wiping my face, and then wiping it with a towel. It was down to the point where, was bearable. And I was like, okay, well, I certainly don't need to go to the hospital, especially if the doctors can't really do anything but tell me to keep doing what I'm doing. So I'll just grab my bike and I'll go home. And they were very kind. They said, well, put your bike in the back. We'll drive you home. No charge, free of charge, which is like the most impressive part of this whole story to me, is that in this country, I got a free ambulance ride.
Right. Yeah.
That does not happen very often. And then I get out of the ambulance at my apartment, and there's 24-hour security here at my apartment, and they're all confused because they see me get out of the ambulance with my bike and walk in. They're like, what happened? And I said, I just got pepper sprayed in the face. And they were both very impressed because they had to get maced for their training. And they were like, you're handling it way better than most people.
Oh.
Which I took some pride in.
Got some pepper spray immunity. So, Kyle Jones, what is your advice to others who might be tempted to call the bluff of an asshole in a Mercedes with no plates?
I would say two main pieces of advice. One, yes, it is never worth it to argue with a driver. It sounds trite, but you just don't know who you're dealing with. It's just, the Minneapolis 311 app is very good. If you've never used it, anyone out there, like, it takes 10 seconds to snap a picture of a car and report a parking violation and then just be on your way. Don't even talk to them because you just don't know how they're going to react. And the second piece is, if you do end up getting pepper sprayed, it's just oil. So you don't need milk. You don't need like weird other home remedies. You just need soap and water, and just to scrub really, really good, get that soap in your eyes, as painful as that is, and be very careful not to let the oil like run other places, run down your body, or like everything you touch is going to be kind of spicy for a while. So just be aware that it's like oil and treat it like you'd be washing off like olive oil or something.
So how long have you lived in Minneapolis, Kyle, and where are you from?
Yeah, I've lived here for, I guess, like 2.5 years in Minneapolis proper. Before that, I lived in various suburbs, and I actually grew up in rural Minnesota, a little town called Winstead, Minnesota.
You have the vibe of a country boy a little bit. A little bit. Like, there's a hint of it. It's not a lot, and it doesn't really sound like Minnesota country, right?
Oh, that's
I could buy that you were from the South almost. Like, there's a hint of it. Have you ever gotten that?
The only time I've gotten that was many years ago. I had some friends who were from Alaska, and they said that I sounded Southern, but I thought that was just because, like, it related to them. I am from the South. But,
right.
I never got that.
So
I don't
just
know.
a hint. It doesn't feel Minnesota to me.
Interesting. Maybe that's, a little bit of the rural.
Right.
Mindset.
All our country's rural areas are bleeding together, and it's just the same accent now, maybe.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Yeah, I liked the small town life, but I definitely like it here a lot better, even with the pepper spray.
So I've heard this story multiple times prior to this podcast recording, and that's how I got the idea for the episode. And you, of course, have been telling this story all over town. Everyone you know has heard this story multiple times. And I wanted to share it with my listeners. And one of the things I was thinking is, Kyle, you've been here a little over 2 years in Minneapolis. And I was thinking back to the time when I had been in Minneapolis for about 2 years. And I feel like that was peak rage for me at all the things that are wrong with our urban environment, whether it's people parked in bike lanes or people who don't shovel their sidewalks. I was raging so hard. I would be on that 311 app daily reporting everything. Like, this needs to be fixed. People's lives are at risk. And at this point, I'm here a dozen years, and I'm so jaded, and I rarely report anything to 311. And I'm wondering if there is something about that like 2 to 3 year mark that puts you in peak rage mode and it gets you pepper sprayed. Not that all you were doing was reporting things to 311. There's no victim blaming from me, Kyle. You are clearly the victim here, but I wonder, like, what do you think about my theory?
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I was kind of being a jerk. I don't challenge people to a fight is, the moral of the story. But I think there is something to that because, like, when you first move to a place, when you're new there, it's not like your neighborhood. And so you're very much like, I don't know, very passive. Like, oh, people just park in the bike lane. That's a thing that happens here, I guess. Like when I visit other cities, I'm never as mad about parking violations when I'm in Chicago or something, because that's not my neighborhood. It's not my place. And when you get to, that like 2 year mark, it's like, well, now this is my home and I want to like be a champion and protect the place. I haven't gotten to the 12-year point. Perhaps I will also be horribly jaded. But I will say, I've gotten back to using the 311 app recently, and it's been pretty good. If you are diligent about reporting a lot of stuff, you'll get a lot more success in my experience.
Oh, is that because 311 starts to respect your information more?
Maybe. I think it's just more of just a quantity thing. You get one parking citation issued, and that makes it worth the 9 that you reported that were gone on arrival or whatever.
You advocate for the app. I like to send emails because sometimes it's really cold out and you don't want to be, I got to check this box and then I got to fill this part out. I like to just I think it's 311 Minneapolis MN. I'm not going to say what it is because I'll get it wrong, but I have the email saved and it just auto-populates. And I just say here's the address, here's a photo I'm attaching to this email, take care of it. I describe it, give a location, and that's how I like to do it because sometimes the app is so cumbersome for me, but I don't make a lot of reports, so maybe you become expert at it.
Yeah, I've definitely got a lot more fluent at it. I'm sure the 311 team wouldn't like to hear me say this, but frankly, I just don't answer a lot of the questions.
Oh.
I just whatever's mandatory. I'll snap a picture. The nice thing about the app is it records the location automatically, so you don't have to remember where it was. And then I just say parking, bike lane, or sidewalk, snow, or something like that, and hit submit. And I leave all the other questions blank.
So if you could say anything to the man who pepper sprayed you, if he was here today, what would you tell him? You look in his eyes, what would you say?
Well, I guess for one, I would admit that I wasn't actually trying to fight him, and I don't know. Honestly, I kind of have respect for him. He in his perspective, he kind of did the right thing. It's he got this crazy person challenging him to a fight.
You were standing your ground. You were not advancing on him, were you?
I mean, not really. I mean, I walked up to his window to talk to him, I guess, but what he did was very effective. It diffused the situation. I was no longer interested in engaging with him. And after 3 hours of pain, no harm done. So I would say thank you for not shooting me because pepper spray is very preferable. And also, maybe next time just go around. You don't have to stop and argue with me.
Right. He didn't have to take up the cause of the Amazon driver.
Exactly.
I like that at the end of this episode, you're defending the person who pepper sprayed you.
Well, like I say, I felt bad because normally I don't engage with these things. I don't want people to have the perception of me as being an angry cyclist who screams at people. And so I was got to maintain a cool head, level head.
You hear Minnesota, I saw on WCCO right before we started this conversation that Minnesota is the nicest place in the world, maybe? Some travel website ranked us the nicest place in the world. And Kyle Jones, you are proving that with your small town Minnesota values, taking the side of the person who pepper sprayed you.
It's classic, It's very almost Canadian of me to apologize to someone for them pepper spraying me.
Yes. Was that a cat?
Oh, yeah, that is a cat. He decided to join at the last minute.
Oh, look at that.
Oh boy, this will be the most viewed portion of the podcast.
Who is this?
So this is my cat. His original name when I adopted him was Solstice because he was born on the summer solstice. And for a long time I couldn't decide on a name, and I realized that I only have one cat, so I don't have to specify. So he doesn't have a name. He's just my cat.
Okay. Well, thank you, Kyle Jones, for telling us your story. I'm John Edwards. This has been the Wedge Live Podcast. Thank you for listening. And if you have a harrowing personal story, send us an email at harrowingpersonalstories@wedgelive.com. And you could be in the position that Kyle is right now, telling your story on the Wedge Live Podcast.
This is a real thing. Real thing.
None of you have the balls to stop this. Stop this.
I've got plenty of time. I have nothing else going on today.
We're in the Wedge neighborhood right now.